All right, let's do a quick mic check. Say hello to everybody. Hello. My levels are a little low today. Let's see what's going on there. Hey, Aaron. Welcome. How you doing? All right, maybe now it's better. Sounds fine. All right, good. So hard to tell sometimes. All right, just a minute and I will have it all set up. All right, so it's a little hazy today, huh? That's funny. I'll be fixing that in a moment. Anyone who's only here for the painting alone and nothing else, it's probably going to take me a minute to get started on that. Just a FYI. It's probably going to be a minute today. I had to move my what's it called? I had to move my easel and that messed up my camera. Or my camera placement rather. Let's see. Almost. Need it like this. This is what I need. There we go. Cool. Anyways, I hope everyone's having a good day today. What have you been up to, Aaron? Anything fun? Personally, I have been losing my mind today. I think that's the right term. Yep. Losing my mind. Working, LOL. Yeah, that's what I was doing too, but work wasn't what was making me lose my mind. Trying to do relatively simple things on with technology today was just driving me nuts. Hey Des, good to see you. Currently fighting with a cat who is trying to get my food. Yeah, my mind is gone today too. I was so frustrated. Yeah, me too. Yeah, that's been my day. I mean, just so you, it's like the simplest things in the world, just absolutely nothing working today. Oh, you're fine, Des. You didn't bother me at all. No, it was other things that bugged me today. Like, okay, just to give you an example, right, of like the simplest thing. Um, I had I got a voicemail today, right? Someone called me and it went to voicemail. Um, I'm still not sure what that message was about or what it said because I can read the preview of the message, but it cuts off. I can't view the full message, and I can't listen to the message, and I can't download the message. So, good times. I feel like I feel like something like that is about as basic as it is as far as like our technology goes. Nope. What do you keep looking over there all the time, camera? I'm right here. So yeah, just stuff like that. And then I connected my website to to Facebook so that I could post my my new shop. I could post links and the product directly into Instagram because Instagram sucks for that. This way, I was like, oh, I'll be able to sell my paintings. If people want to buy the paintings when they see them on Instagram, they can they can just click and go straight to my website and actually buy the thing. Um, that was a nice fantasy I had there that I could set that up and it would work properly. And that Facebook wouldn't make it a total nightmare and try and hijack everything. A nice little fantasy. Uh, yeah, just absolute frustration about all that stuff. Oh, that is such an unpleasant sound. The camera sees David Tennant behind me, and he's definitely nicer to look at. He's not quite finished though. I can show you all where it's at right now if you want to see, but it's almost finished. I just need to get like an afternoon or something on my own to work on it. As much as I love painting on stream, and I really do enjoy interacting with everybody here, there's something about like bringing the painting to an absolute finish that I find very challenging on stream. So like the very, very final part of the painting, I almost always have to do on my own. Not always, but almost always. But yeah. You're not going to be able to see all of it, but you can see most of it. Like I said, it's not 100% done, but it's close. All right, so I'm gonna start by oiling out. I moved my easel down a bit, so it's a little bit lower than normal. We'll see how that goes. Aaron says, looks great, great colors. Oh, thank you. The purple is what's it called? Is because of him playing Purple Man in Jessica Jones. That's why I pushed those purples and did all that. Des says it's done, you're just stubborn. Funny enough, I will not argue with you about that. I am stubborn. It's not done though. It's almost done, but it's not done. I have a few ways of deciding when a painting is done. I've shared them before, but I'm happy to share it again because I think it's, I think it's worth talking about, and who knows, this might be someone's first time here, but a painting is done. There's a number of circumstances which determine when a painting is done. You know, when you're finished with it in the sense of like you don't want to work on it anymore, that's absolutely a one instance where a painting is done. Very valid way of finishing a painting, in my opinion. Deadlines is a common one too. If you have deadlines, done when deadline arrives. But usually when people talk about when a painting is done, what they're actually referring to is like how to know when it's done when you're not sure when it's done, because theoretically you could work on a painting forever, right? There's no end to it. You could work on a painting forever. So when is a painting actually done? Hold on a second. Looking for this, I forgot where it was. A little paint. Yeah. So a painting's done. For me, it's done. Aside from those other options, it's done when I don't know how to make it better anymore. And I don't mean like, oh, I can see something wrong. I don't mean like, oh, I can't see anything wrong with it anymore. No, I mean, even if I can see something wrong with it, if I don't know how to fix it, if I don't know what the steps I need to do, like when I look at that painting, I know the things I need to do to fix it, to finish it, and the little, all the little like flurries and everything I want to put on at the end. If I didn't know those things, it'd be done. That's how I judge if a painting's done or not. Do I know how to fix it? Do I know how to improve it? It's not always fixing it. Do I know how to improve it? Do I know how to make this a better painting? And by no, I really am referring to like, do I know the steps, not do I know like areas to improve, but do I know how to improve them? I guess that's the main difference compared to like in my like how I think about it. So yeah. So it's not done yet. Almost done though. Almost done, Tez. All right. Let's see. This one now. One of the biggest issues I have with this painting um, is that most of the time I literally am struggling to see what I'm working on. That's the biggest issue I have with this painting. Like the biggest challenge is I can't see my own painting or the reference. Because everything's in shadow and it's just like, oh, this area is dark and this area is dark and this area is dark. Great. So it's all just black. Cool. Oh well. We'll figure it out. Aaron says, haha, I know what you mean, but it is still working. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. No, I think it's starting to come together. It's just when I look at my reference, so I'm looking at my reference and I can't see anything in the face here. So I actually have a second reference where I boosted all the I boosted the lightness a lot so that I could, see what I'm doing. But it's a bit of a catch 22 because I can't what's it called? I can't use the colors that I see in that because they're completely off, right? Like I lightened the image so much that the colors are nowhere near what they really are. So. And while these colors aren't 100% realistic, it is based off of the reference image. It is a very, you know, like tinted image because of all the, um, what's it called? All the, the the lighting, I guess. Yeah. Bad reference. Yeah. Losing the forms in the shadow of the reference. Yeah. Well, I mean, I do want to lose some of the forms for sure, but this isn't, I wouldn't call this good reference, right? Like it's definitely not great reference. It's a good photo, but one thing I've learned is that a good photo doesn't mean it's good reference. It just means it's a good photo. A lot of the things that make a good photo make bad reference. So what I'm doing right now, I'm looking at my reference. Actually, I'm looking at my painting with like line work of the reference over it. And for colors, I'm just referring to my painting and just trying to kind of keep the colors roughly what they are right now. Um, and know that I'll probably go in and adjust them a little bit later if I need to. But yeah, good reference is really hard to find. What's it called? Um, I'm actually looking at possibly buying a new lens for my camera, so I can go out and take some like street photography reference shots. And to be clear, I'm not going to be one of those annoying street photographers who like gets up in people's faces. I have no interest in doing that. In case anyone thought otherwise, there's 0% chance I will be doing that. I just mean taking photos of like, things around me outside, get some friends to model for me, stuff like that. I didn't even know that was a thing, to be honest. I always thought street photography just meant like you go outside and you take photos, outside of like just, things in your area or wherever you are. And like if people are in it, they're in it. But, you're not expecting privacy when you're out on the street. But apparently, street photography also, some people take it to a weird place where they like harass people and like get up in their face and stuff. I don't know what that's all about. That seems really strange to me. The idea being that, if you have good reference, you know, it's a lot easier to make good paintings if you have good reference. And that there's absolutely truth to that. The paintings I did from my friends who modeled for me um, came out. I'm really happy with how they came out. And I don't think they would have, you know, I don't think they would have been so good if I had like tried to find photos online that I can use. So yeah. The Mars Black is interesting. I always think of it as like a warm color, but when you mix it with the Cad Lemon, it it leans green, which is interesting. But oh, to conclude what I was talking about earlier, though, yeah, I was trying to connect my website to Instagram so I could post uh, my shop stuff from my website onto Instagram to make it easy. But that's not going to happen, and I'm not going to give Instagram or Facebook. I'm not allowing them to like handle my shop for me because I don't want to deal with that. So uh, apparently, you're going to have to go to my website directly if you want to buy my paintings for anybody who's interested. And I'll be putting up posts you know, with information, but yeah, I can't do it directly, unfortunately. Going back to the painting, the Aaron mentioned losing form in shadows. Lost edges. I feel like people underutilize lost edges overall. Lost edges add so much to the like atmosphere of a painting. Um, that you don't have to be losing form into things, but lost edges in general. They really do add a lot of mood to things. So, and I do feel like they're underutilized. So if you don't use lost edges, consider giving it a shot. They don't actually have to be lost edges though, too. That's the other thing, right? You could actually paint a whole painting with very hard edges, but it'd all be like lost edges. Because um, if the contrast is tight enough and things are close enough in color and value, you don't actually have to lose the edge to make it appear like a lost edge. And that's really all it needs to be, the appearance of it. Which can be interesting because then you can have it look like a lost edge, but then when you get up close to it, you'll be able to see that, oh, wait a second, it's not actually a lost edge. There's a little more interest happening here. So you can do that as well. I heard, I don't know how exactly true this is, but I'm sure it's not far off. Um, I heard from I think it was hold on a second. Aaron says I got to go to dinner. Have a great stream. Oh, no worries. Have a great dinner. Thanks for stopping by. Um, I heard that our eyes, when we're looking at stuff in general, focus on an area that's roughly the size of like a stamp or, you know, a $50 or something like that, roughly. We just don't really notice it because we move our eyes around and they refocus constantly. But yeah, so when you're painting, it's worth keeping that in mind because you might not want to have everything in focus. It'll feel more real that way. Because that's the other thing too. I've had people tell me that my paintings are like very realistic or it looks like a photograph. And A, I'm not trying to paint like that. And B, I don't think that like I have paintings where there's a ton of paintbrush texture and everything, and they still say that. And I think that has more to do with um, like the lighting and the edges and the fact that they're probably seeing it really, really small online. Yeah. And it's one of those things where it's like it's slightly frustrating. I know they mean it as a compliment, but like I'm not trying to be photorealistic exactly, not going for like ultra realism. I don't want people to mistake my paintings for a photo. So every time I get that compliment, I have to remind myself that the people saying it are almost always. Uh, Actually, you know what? I'll take that back. Always. I've never heard anybody saying it in a mean way. Always they mean it as a good thing. They're trying to say it looks real. There's that there's form to everything. That they're trying to verbalize it, and they just happen to be hitting on a trope that's really unpleasant personally. But yeah, I know they mean it in a good way. Des is wait, Des just went over to Twitch. Maybe they're just saying it because they think that's what you want to hear. That might be it too. Donley says, I've had that before. Photorealism isn't something I'm aiming for. Also, hey, hey, Donley, good to see you. How you doing? Yeah, I know. Photorealism isn't what I'm aiming for, and a lot of artists I know aren't aiming for it. But I know they mean well. It's just and I try and take it in the spirit it's meant, right? Because if someone's trying to give you a compliment and they don't know the right terminology or whatever, that's fine. You gotta realize what they're trying to say and take it in the spirit it's meant. That says I'm too lazy to be photorealistic. Yeah. Lazy and impatient. Yeah. Well, my whole thing with photorealism is I'm always impressed by people's ability to do it. Like I think the capabilities of people who do photorealism is remarkable. Um, but I too feel like I'm too I'm not even going to say lazy. I'm just the reality is I think I'll lose interest and I'll get bored. And if I have to be honest, the other thing is if I'm working from a photo and I'm trying to recreate the photo as photorealism, well, I always wonder what's the point? I have the photo. I don't really need to do this. The point of my paintings is that I'm trying to give them a feeling that um, is, I'm not going to say completely different from the photo, but it's at least enhanced or modified um, than, compared to my photo reference. I mean, I'm not going to say that it's 100% divorced from it, but the idea is that when you put them side by side, they're not going to be copies of each other. One's going to look like it was referenced, but it's still going to be something different. Now, all to say, if I could do photorealism from my brain without any reference, that'd be a different story. That'd be a different story. As far as I know, there isn't anybody who does that. And if they do, they probably not to say just, but they probably have photorealistic, perfect photo recall. And it's just how their brain operates. But they're not changing the reference. They just have the ability to recall it perfectly and then they might as well just be looking at the reference anyways. I think there's like maybe one person like that. I'm not aware of them, but I'm just saying in general. I know there's this one guy who could do like it's not really photoreal, but he could do like realistic renditions of cities from memory. Um, and it's not that it's not that it's photoreal, because when you go and look really close in on it, it looks like a drawing with pen, because I think he uses pen, if I'm not mistaken. But the sizes and placement of everything is accurate. So even though it looks like a drawing, when you zoom out, the like placement of everything is accurate. If I'm not mistaken, there's a guy who does that. Also, if I'm not mistaken, he is a savant or whatever. So, you know, Donnelly says photo brain. Yeah, I mean, I've got good uh, you know, visual memory, but it's not, perfect. I wish it was perfect. you know, if if I had if I found a what's it called? If I found a lantern with a genie in it, that might be one of my wishes, maybe. But like perfect recall. Uh, but yeah, I don't, unfortunately. Wish I did. Donley says there are background painters for movies. They don't do photoreal, but they know the tricks to make things seem photoreal at a glance. Yeah, that's different. That's a skill you can absolutely like develop. I'm not taking away from their skill. They're fantastic. Like there's a reason that they're like top of their game, top of but that is definitely a skill you can develop. A lot of them will actually teach you that. They have classes and everything. So yeah. But it falls apart when you look closer at it, in the sense that it doesn't look photoreal anymore. Although unfortunately, a lot of those people nowadays are pushed into photo bashing. So a lot of the work they do, they end up just doing photo bashing, which, don't get me wrong, if you want to be good at photo bashing, like, it is not easy to do. Okay, I don't want people to think, "Oh, photo bashing is so easy." It's not. Having said that, it's not a painting either, you know? And they know that, and no one will argue that point at all. It's not a painting. It's not the same, and a lot of them don't even enjoy it as much. They just, you know, a job's a job, right? So, yeah, photo bashing, you know, I don't know. I'm not a fan of photo bashing. I understand why they do it. I'm not a fan. Photo bashing is big for concept art too, though. That's what I'm saying. It is. Photo bashing is huge for concept art, for both movies and video games. And if you ask me, it's unfortunate, but what can you do? Yeah, if you see concept art, like if you I'm talking modern games and modern movies. If you see concept art from them and it's all painted and there's no photo bashing, uh, and this is something that they put out, just know that it's most likely, basically, it's essentially a what's the word I'm looking for? It's essentially a advertisement, and the person who worked on it probably had a lot of extra time to do the painting, and that's not what the normal job is. I've heard people talk about this where it's like, when companies are making a video game and they want to put out artwork for they put out artwork to get people excited about it. That artwork is not what they're doing on a day-to-day basis. That stuff is given extra time, it's touched up, or it's done from scratch for that, so on. Not saying all of it, of course. It's not, nothing's absolute here, but yeah, just in general. I just don't want people to have a misconception of like what it is people do, because you see that and you're like, oh, that must be what they do every day. And no, a lot of times it's photo bashing. A lot of times it's much sloppier and quicker, depending on what it is that they're working on, you know. But yeah, the people who work in concept art are crazy good. I've met a lot of concept. I mean, I work in the industry, so of course I've met a lot of people at work. But what I was trying to get to is I've met a lot of concept artists who are like fantastic painters. They go out and they paint with real medium. They go out and they do like plein air painting, um, you know, all kinds of stuff like that. They're fantastic. They're not just good at photo bashing, and so yeah. Oh yeah, the Horizon Zero Dawn book, Don Lisa's art book. You saw a lot of photo bashing. Yeah. So the art books are a mixed bag. Some of those art books are like legitimate what they work on. Some of those art books are, somewhat promotional stuff. It's a bit of a mixed bag. Usually it's pretty good about being really behind the scenes, but they do cherry pick, of course. Excuse me for a second. I need to put eye drops in. I'm going to do that off camera. Uh, Hi, camera. Thanks for the extreme zoom. I appreciate that. The Mondo stuff just looked like photos with some effects, straight up stills from the show. Interesting. Yeah. It just depends on the show. Some of those art books are great, some are less good. Yeah. I have the what's it called? Uh, Enter the Spider-Verse, the first one, the first movie. I have the art book from that. That one's a lot of fun. And that movie was so good. The first one. I'm not going to say that I'm not going to sit here and say that the story was like the best ever or anything like that because let's be honest, it was good, but it was the visuals that made that movie. The way they told the story with those visuals. Excuse me for a second. I just dropped a brush with some paint on it. Excuse me for a second while I clean this up. Luckily, this is a rug, not the actual carpet. And I have stuff underneath the rug to help with so that it doesn't it won't leak through. Not that this would, but even if it was a lot, it wouldn't leak through. But I still don't want wet paint on my rug because I don't want to step in it. Honestly, that's really what it boils down to. Donnelly says, loved Into the Spider-Verse. Good stuff. Yeah, no, it was a really good movie. I don't want it to sound like I'm saying anything other than that. I saw it was such a good movie. I saw it multiple times in theater, which is not something I normally do anymore. So, it was a really good movie. I have some issues with the second one, but first one was really good. The Mondo stuff, that's the Star Wars show, right? Yeah, The Mandalorian. Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, I started watching that uh and then we stopped and I never went back to it. I'll be honest, I don't remember why. Like I don't know if there was an actual reason why or it just I think the thing was I was watching with Michelle and it didn't hold her interest, but she wanted to keep watching it. And then we just got like distracted with other stuff. Also didn't help that I heard that it like fell apart at some point. Or not fell apart, but there, I heard that like what was it? Season two was uh less great. I'll phrase it that way. Boba Boba Fett Boba Fett show had some issues. You rolled your eyes a few times. You know, yeah, I don't know. Like the thing is, I got so burnt out on Star Wars with the last like I don't know how many movies and stuff that it was just like the hurdle to get into it was too high and it didn't clear it. And that's really what it was, right? So I was just like, okay, I want to get into this, but I'm watching it and I'm not really like super into it. So when the slightest bit, the slightest uh what's it called? The slightest road bump or hurdle, and I just stopped watching. There's just I'm just what's it called? I don't know. I have too much to do all the time. So, there's only so much time in the day. You have to give it to what you think is worth it. I'm watching Avatar: The Last Airbender right now with Michelle. She has never seen the original, so we're watching the original. We're not watching the remake. And I would rather rewatch that than watch Boba Fett. It is interesting to see the show again. Like you get to see, there's certain things that I like, on watching, a second time, having way more experience in the industry now than I did then. Definitely seeing it differently. But yeah, it is. Donley says, "Oh, Avatar: The Last Airbender is great." It is. It's such a good show. They definitely like. There's definitely some things in the show where it's just like this would be different if it was not a kids show. If this was like quote unquote reality or something, but still a really really good show. Okay, so here's a question. If you've seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, and if you're watching this after the fact, feel free to put it in the, you know, in the comments on YouTube. Um, who's your favorite character? I'm curious. I wonder who's your favorite character in Avatar: The Last Airbender? I'll be honest, I'm a bit torn about who my favorite character is. I am a like the two characters that I'm torn between is I think is Toph. I really love Toph. She's such a fun character. And uh what's his name? Uh the uncle. Can't remember his name right now. Um Yeah, I think those two. I'm torn between who I like more. Don Lee says, I'd rather watch Avatar: The Last Airbender than Avatar any day. Looking at you, James Cameron. Oh, for sure. Oh, 1000%. Okay, so we watched what's it called? We went and saw Avatar, uh what is it, The Shape of Water or whatever, in theaters when it came out. And there's this moment in that where like they're leaving the tree and he's narrating. And if Michelle hadn't stopped me, and she didn't like physically stop me, she just, she wanted to be there, I would have walked out. I was just like, I'm so tired of this. I'm good. I would have just walked out. Let's see. Des says, guys, I'm not feeling well. I'm going to head out for the night. I'll catch you soon. Yeah, no worries, Des. I hope you feel better. Have a good night. And yeah, just, take it easy. I hope you feel better. Donnelly says, the uncle is awesome. The Earth King, who was Aang's friend from before he was frozen, is great. Oh, yeah, I know. He's a great character. The reason I the reason I wouldn't put him as one of my favorite characters is purely because he's in the show so little, right? Like, regardless of how much I like him, he's just not there enough to justify getting that, in my opinion. He can be your favorite character, don't get me wrong. That's up to you. I'm just saying personally, that's why I didn't I didn't mention him. Because to me, I feel like if you're gonna have I don't know, I feel like most, like your favorite character, to me, it's like someone who's one of the main-ish, semi-main characters. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. That's just how I feel about it. Like that's where my mind goes. Although I have to say that the cabbage seller, mm, maybe. Donnelly says, I was just mentioning some other characters that I think are good that you didn't mention. Oh, for sure, for sure. Absolutely. He's a fun character. I like Zuko's girlfriend. Um, is her name May? Um, I do like her. She's I don't know if I'd say fun exactly, but I like her. The evil one that turns against him. She is evil. Um, I don't know about the turns against him part, but the one with the black hair that throws the knives. The yeah. And I don't want to say too much. I know it's an old show, but like because the new show came out and there's renewed interest in it, like anything, I don't want to, I don't want to compromise too many things just in case. Um, like I said, I know it's such an old show, you would think, but because of the renewed interest in it, I'm kind of like, I'm going to try and stay away from spoilers if I can. Liad always drawn to them drama girls, I see. I see you, Liad. Yeah. I do think that Prince Zuko's whole story arc is fantastic. I think they did a great job with Prince Zuko. Like Michelle, watching it for the first time was able to kind of predict some of it. And I don't think that's a bad thing. A lot of times, people think of like, oh, if you could see it coming, it's a bad thing. But in this instance, I think the opposite. I think the fact that Michelle could guess some of it was actually like proof that it was done really well because you see his character develop. So you see it coming and you see the changes coming because they're so organic to the character that it all makes sense and so so you do kind of see it coming, but I absolutely think it's in like the best way possible. I actually had a bit of a problem with well, I have a few problems with Korra. Uh, and that was one of the issues that I had an issue with in Korra. There was a character development, which I'm not going to say what it is, but there was a big like character development towards the end that I have no problem with. It just felt like it was just out of left field, and I didn't like that. Otherwise, I have no issue with it. But yeah, Don Lee says yes. Zuko's arc was great. It was. It was uh, arguably the best arc of the entire show. Um, you know, obviously the story is about Aang and the group, but Zuko's arc is arguably the best in the whole show. Uh, yeah. I mean, they've all got really good arcs. I'm not trying to, say that they don't. I think that's one of the big strengths of the show. All the characters get really strong story arcs and character development. Well, not all, but to a degree. for instance, I'm not sure that the uncle necessarily gets like character development so much, but his story's fun and I like him. I don't know that I don't know that I'd qualify that as character development. But not every single character has to have like character development. Dunley says there have been many times when watching shows where I'll guess where the plot is going before it happens, and it annoys me to no end. Avatar: The Last Airbender was not one of those shows. Very well written. Absolutely. And like I said, I don't necessarily have a problem like when you can guess where it's going because it's a trope or it's a um it's just like how they write movies, it's the formula, or how they write shows, that's bad. When you can guess where it's going because they foreshadow it and they're not necessarily trying to hide it because it's like character development, you're supposed to grow with the character and kind of see it coming and want them to get there. So good. The uncle's character was already developed. He was more of a character uh, un, of a character unveiling. Yeah, absolutely. No, he was. You're right. He he is already a developed character, and he doesn't really like grow as a character. But you do get to learn more about him. That's a good point. Korra, while I have some issues with the show, the freaking animation on that show is so good. The people who worked on that show did a phenomenal job with the animation. If you want to learn action storyboards, look up Korra for reference. It's a show that a lot of people in the industry use as reference because the artists who were like the storyboard artists they're like top of the game kind of thing. And then a lot of them moved over to Warner Brothers, um, which I think, it's pretty, like if you know what to look for, you can kind of see it. Donley says, I need to lurk. Your painting is really coming together along this. Oh, thank you, Donley. And no worries. Go ahead and lurk. It's getting late. I got probably another like 30 minutes or so, roughly. Yeah. I wish I could do more. I do want to paint more. It's just time issue. That is too dark, but oh well. I can lighten it up after. All right, so here I have an opportunity to do some lost edges and blending the shadow with the form because it doesn't really matter that much, honestly. Not 100% going to blend the arm into this, but I can do a little bit of that without it looking weird, I think. If it looks weird, I'll just adjust it. All right. So one of the things that I try and keep in mind when I'm doing folds is I try and think about like why the fold has the shape it has, and um, like what's the form I'm trying to show with the fold. Sometimes it's not important, like what I just did over here. It's not exactly important to get that right. Like no one's going to care if it's all poofed out or not all poofed out. It's not going to matter. But if I'm going to put it in, I'm going to try and make it correct and show those forms. And what's it called? Saturation and temperature can also play a role in all of that too. You can actually help your form transition from one. You can help your the describe the plane transition sometimes. Sometimes using uh, color or temperature uh, is actually like a subtle way of doing it instead of using uh, purely value. The reason that works is because as the light hits differently, you know, the temperature, the reflected light, all that stuff can change, which can inform the shadow. For anyone who's into streaming, I saw this really cool microphone today on EPOS. I think it's EPOS Vox or EPOS Vox. I don't know how you pronounce it. On his channel, it's a microphone that um, detects how close you are to it and changes the gain based off of that. Thought that was really cool. It's definitely like a streamer thing or podcast or whatever, but yeah, I don't know. Thought it was interesting. I hope that becomes more mainstream. I don't know what's going on. I keep seeing movement out of the corner of my eye, thinking chat's talking and then nothing's happening. It's those damn gremlins. That's what it is. You know, I think I started talking about this last time, but then I got raided, and I think I forgot to get back to it. So I'm going to talk about it today and hope I get raided again. Um, Completely unrelated. But yeah, so if I remember correctly, I was talking about uh, blacks in comic books, where I learned like the difference between a matte black and a saturated black. And I learned that from um, Spider-Man because back in the day when the printing was much more limited and less exact, and so Spider-Man, when he had the black costume or when Venom was around, um, the suit is black, so it's a matte black, so it's CMYK, so it's just K, right? Black. But for the lines, in order to get the lines, what they would do is they would leave the lines white, and in some of the comics they would shade them blue. But what would happen is the blue shading wasn't the plate wasn't that accurate, so sometimes it would shift a little, like it would just move around. And when it shifted, you could see the blue on top of the black. And that blue on top of the black just made it so much darker and such a more like intense black. And that idea stuck with me. Now, that doesn't apply to like the blackest black and matte black and those types of black. That's a different type of black. That functions very differently. Um, but yeah, so having a saturated black, where you add color to your black, can make it look a lot darker, um, or more intense. With the exception of those like specialty blacks, which, you know, I mean, if we're being honest, I don't feel like I'm sure those are useful in some applications, but most of the time it's kind of a gimmick, right? Another thing that I try and keep in mind, don't always pull it off because, impossible to keep everything in mind all at once. But one of the things I try and keep in mind is sometimes the shadows, you might think they're like green or purple or whatever, it doesn't matter the color. You might think they're one color. Truth is, they're just kind of desaturated, whatever it is you're looking at. A. And B, the other thing is sometimes the shadows are either just a desaturated gray, uh, or a version of that color, or something else. And it's the light color next to it that's making you think it's whatever color you're thinking it is. They're like your brain is applying the light color onto the shadow kind of thing. Our brains are pretty dumb when it comes to this stuff. You really, like, it's amazing how much you have to fight your own brain when painting. It probably means that like my survival skills are actually lower than they used to be before I started painting. But, whatever. I'm a better painter for it, I guess. One thing I find very interesting when painting is um, there's there's this style of art. I don't remember what it's called. You see it a lot with vector art. It's like that, um, it's all flats and then it's like cutout shapes that make the flats up. Um, yeah, I don't know what the like name of that is exactly. Like I said, I see it a lot in ve old vector art, especially. And what's funny is that sometimes that actually looks like kind of applying some of that effect on into your like paintings looks really, really good and makes your paintings look more painterly. more digital, ironically. And kind of what I'm referring to is if you've seen paintings where it's like a lot of the, I've done this too in my paintings where like I'll do something and I'll just make it like a flat color and then I'll go in with like another color and just put in one like pass and that'll be like the transition or the highlight or whatever. It's not exactly like realistic, but yeah, it works so well and it can make your paintings look painterly because people can see the like the bold stroke of paint that you put down. It's very very apparent. So yeah. All right, I'm getting close to being done for the night, so I like to give a little bit of a heads up because of all the delay. Sometimes people have like last minute questions and so on. But yeah, I'll be finishing up soon. And then what else? I will be back on Sunday. I stream 3 times a week. Sunday afternoon, Monday night, Wednesday night. Although that may be changing in the near future. Um, but yeah, I'll be back on Sunday. Next week I won't be streaming. Um, After Sunday, I don't think I'll be streaming. I'm going to a conference, so gonna have to take a bit of a break. But I'll be back uh, like a week after. Best way to keep up with me is on Discord, if that's a platform you're into. I have links. You can go to my Discord. Um, Yeah, that's generally the uh, best way of interacting with me too, honestly. Sorry, I'm just really focused on painting today. I love talking with chat if people, are up for talking, but a lot of times, especially during the week, I know people are really busy, and so chat's a little on the quiet side. And I try and talk through everything and so on, but yeah, sometimes I definitely you know, just get into the painting so much that I stop talking. All right, I'm gonna end stream in like a minute. I generally don't, what's it called? I don't rate anybody because it's too complicated for me to figure out because I'm multi-streaming. So yeah, I just end stream when I'm done. Didn't mean to go quite this dark here, so luckily I can scrape off some of this. That is way too yellow, but that's fine. It'll start blending in. All right. I'd love to keep painting, but unfortunately, I have to call it a night tonight. I'll be back Sunday afternoon. All this is Central Time. I'm in Texas, Austin, Texas. So yeah. All right. Have a good one, everybody, and I'll catch you around.